Fuck me. God bless. Jesus Christ. Does this fit? Who made this pen? Warranted made it. Okay, there's a little bit of a crease, so let's see if I can fix it. Let's see if I can do something good today. It's going to go in that pen. Where's my block and tackle? Okay, where is it? Where's my block? It's right here. There's the one burnisher that works. Right here. Fuck me! Fuck. 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 Welcome back to my world. First of all, what happened first? I'll tell you what happened first. I pulled up a chair. No, I didn't do that. I turned on my lights, found my light switches, turned them on, decided to sit down, sat down, aimed my butt, and fell right on my keister because the stool wasn't beneath my ass like it's supposed to be. That's how this broadcast started. Just before I turned it on, I fell on the floor and consequently knocked some things over, which continued to fall over just now. Okay, so I put a nib in this pen. Why? I have no idea. I don't have a base for it. I don't have a customer for it. I don't have a use for it. But at least it's in this nib. This nib is in this pen. And it seems to be okay. So now this is going to go over here. Okay, can I find another pen to put a nib in while I'm on a roll here? Is there another? This one. Another warranted nib. I'm putting nibs that might as well be in something because sitting here in a drawer isn't doing anyone any good. So if I put them in a pen, at least I can write with them. Right? That's my thing. Writing with them. Would this make someone happy? See this one, this has a crack in the back, which I don't think I put in. Well, I mean, I'm just going to leave it there. There's a crack in the back of the nib that's moving from the back toward the front, but it's tight in here. No, it isn't. Take it out. Try a different one. I think I should just go to bed. That's not going to work. So far, I'm not working. It's not working for me. This is a really big blobby nib. It's too big and blobby. What about this one? One of these nibs in here seem to have had trauma in their lives. Should I just put this away, play with pens that have nibs already in them, instead of trying to put a nib in a pen that I'm never going to use? Look at this. That has a nice nib. Oh, where did the feed go? This nib that fit in this pen must have been really thin. Sometimes nibs and feeds like to be put in at the same time, and other times the nib wants to be put in after the feed is in. That's something you will learn after if you've broken enough pens. See, that seems fine. Let's see how it writes. Nice and springy. I know I've told you this before, and I'll tell it to you again. Somewhere in the fullness of time, if I look at my crystal ball, I will see one day that I'm going to have lots of desk pens at my desk. And one of them might be this pen here, because I won't be able to leave the house. I'm going to be in my iron lung or my bath chair or whatever they call them. And Swan, this is a Swan pen. Now this is a more desk pen that has a more nib that's a non-gold nib. But it's complete, so I'm just going to put that there. This is a Moore pen that's broken. The nib is cracked as well, cracked in the back, as often happens with Moore nibs. But I bet I have a Moore pen, pocket pen, that this could go in. Know what this says, Moore's, or what does it say, something else? Moore's Maniflex pen. Oh, yep, the crack goes all the way up to the bottom of the P. So consequently, it's going to end up going in this pen right here. And it'll go on my desk and just stay there. I think. Is this right? Does what it's supposed to do. Doesn't it? Yes, it does. See, here's its brother. Its twin brother. This is the one that I broke trying to fix it the other day and cracked the barrel right there. And I shellacked it all in together, so hopefully I won't break it. The other one. Okay, so there and there. Okay, what else can I? I don't need porn sites. Thank you very much. I have enough of those to go around. Okay, what's going to go in this pen? A little tiny nib. Try this one. I think this is another Moore. And other Moore. That's not fitting. How about this? Will this fit? This is really flexible, this one. Very springy, I can tell. Why isn't it going in there? That one's going in. Good. These little tiny nibs are a little tricky. Let's see what this one writes like. It's a boingy boingy E. I mean, it's a pen that a beginning calligrapher would enjoy practicing with. It has some give and some play. The fine is a little broader than a more advanced calligrapher might like, but but it's smooth. Pens that have a broader nib will feel smoother than ones that don't. So, okay, what about these? What do we have left? Okay, let's play with a pen that's a known quantity. How is this? Nib. Warranted number 4. Wow, it's awfully big. Warranted. Sings Bush. Okay, putting these up here. Come on, get up there. Okay, I'm turning the page. Now I'm going to play with my Waterman 12. This is a pen that almost got away from me, and the guy didn't back down. That wasn't exactly how it happened. He just decided that he would look for a different one. So that's okay in my book. So this is going to go back in my collection. This is going to go up here on the drawer up there. And I'm going to now play with some other pens that I have, I'm pretending that I bought at the Philadelphia Pen Show because I wasn't unable to go there this year. So let's pretend I bought this pen. Would I have been happy with it? Firm, hard Schaefer. Big, strong nib. Little tenacious bulldog of a pen. Yeah, this would have, has a little fencing scar right there, right across those two things. I think that's a pretty nice pen. So let's pretend I bought this one. This is a Majestic. It has a gold nib. It has a visualated section so you can see the ink. Let's say I bought this pen. Okay, this nib is one of those nibs that might never make me happy. But maybe it's just, I just have to tweak it a bit to make it smoother. Sometimes nibs are a little coarse, and some people would immediately get out the smoothing paper and smooth them, and sometimes that is acceptable. I normally say never do that unless you absolutely have to. When there's actual damage to the nib, I will allow you to do it. But every once in a while you get a pen that, like this one, that just sort of a very funny shaped ball at the end of it that just, this one I would smooth. But let's pretend I was in a high school class and wanted to annoy everyone in the room with the noise that I was making doing a test, and everyone would get flustered and fail because of their flusteredness. This would be the pen to use. So it does have a purpose. For you people who are poor in school, this pen has an issue, and when you uncap it, the shoulders of the nib sort of hit on the inner cap. It's really a tight fit in there. This is a Webster pen, and they made very sturdy pens, generally relatively firm nibs. This is a pen that I could sell to someone who likes to sort of angrily sketch, and I think that they would be happy with that one. Wall Oxford. Now back here you see that little bit that's kind of transparent. Maybe you can't see it, but that's going to decay. That's just going to, at one point you're going to pick it up and it's just going to turn to dust, because that's what they do. When you see the plastic sort of turn transparent and have little crazing bits in it, it'll just eventually disintegrate. But you put the cap on the back of the pen and you show it like this, and it's beautiful. You don't need to see the disintegrated part. This was a pen that Wall Oxford, it was made under the name Wall Oxford, which was their sort of bargain brand. This is this an Penco pen? What is this? This is a gold nib. The nib says Schaefer. So the nib is a transplant. There was a Schaefer pen that was killed in an automobile accident, and the nib was taken out to make this pen work. So it works better probably than the pen originally did, because it is a rather nice nib in it. I looked at these already, but I'll look at them again. Here's a Parker 51 Special. So the 51 Special has a steel nib, not a gold nib. But in many ways, Parker 51s don't really need a gold nib because they're not flexible. So this is a drawer that has 51s that I selected out of my personal collection to sell, and I ended up, every one I sit down and try to write with ends up getting back into my collection. And it's crazy talk. I need to sit down one rainy day and just go through drawers that have many many similarities of 51s or Skylines or Waterman 12s or whatever it is, and just take out the ones that I can say goodbye to and leave them out. But then I write with them and I think, I can't say goodbye to you. I need you in my life. So I'm screwed in that way. Parker 61, it's missing its little arrow. So who's going to want this pen? It's missing its little arrow. So a collector probably won't want it unless they're just going to take the nib. But again, it's a perfectly usable pen by anyone, except its little arrow is missing. I haven't decided whether putting the cap on a 61 is satisfying or not. It's a different feel than putting the cap on a 51. When you put a cap on a 51, the metal of this thing hits the metal of the cap, and you hear this lovely metallic sound. And the 61, you don't have that. And it somehow feels less sturdy, maybe is the right word, but oddly enough, it feels kind of sexily snug. Okay, I need to explain that to you because I don't even know what I'm talking about, and I can't expect you to, but I'm going to try to flesh it out for you right now. When I put this on here, metal goes against metal, and I know that that's happening, and eventually it stops being pushed on, and I know that it's there and it's fine. And that metal sound here, you feel it starting to get snug here, and you can keep going, but you never it just stops. It's you don't have that. It's a more gradual feeling. It's kind of it's different. It's a different kind of thing. It's kind of nice, actually. There's a slight, it's not like putting a hard rubber cap on a hard rubber barrel, slip cap on a hard rubber barrel, because it starts catching here. You feel pressure here, and then it continues for a long time, and then it finally seats itself. And there's something really kind of, can I say sexy on TV? Same thing in the back. It's a very, go find yourself a 61 and a 51, and you put the cap on the 61, take it off, put it back on, take it off, and try to appreciate how different it is from the 51, taking it on and putting it off. And at some point, maybe you'll be able to describe to me what it is I'm trying to understand about it. And that is what's kind of neat about pen using and pen collecting, is these subtle differences that maybe make your life more pleasurable in the end. Maybe writing that letter to your mother-in-law about how much you hate her is more pleasurable when you're using this pen with that sound that it makes. Well, I've just decided I'm keeping this pen. I like the nib, and it's a pen that I can't sell to you and you and you because it's missing its little thing. But it's a pen that I can fill up with ink and I can carry it around with me and draw with it and write with it. And if for some reason I lose it or something, I'm not really gonna worry about it. To fill this pen, you're supposed to put it in the ink for 7 seconds or 10 seconds or something. I don't know, some amount of time. And it has a little sponge on the inside that sucks in the ink. And it's supposed to work, but I've never quite understood how it knows to suck in the ink and then it knows to let it out. That's the part that's a little, I'm fuzzy with that. I know that some chemist or physicist could explain it to me. Getting these things clean is tough. If you're someone who likes to change inks, Ms. Marilyn Darling, a lot, this is, you never ever want to own a 61 because there's no way to do it. You can't possibly do it. Inside of this little thing here is a rolled up piece of, we'll call it paper. It's probably some thin paper-like material that has little bumps on it. And within, if you looked at a cross section of it, you'd see something that looks like that. So there's little bumps that will allow spaces between the rolled up area, and that holds the ink. But you can't take this out and spread it out and clean it off and put it back together. There's always going to be some ink that's going to be left in there, I think. You could clean it, put water in it, try to get the water out, put more water in it, get it out, and I think there's always going to be some, whatever color was in it, remaining. So I don't think this is a pen that you would want. Parker 61. So I don't know if I, see if I can, I'm going to put this in my mouth and blow. I'm going to see if anything comes out. Air is coming out. So it is not clogged. It is, in fact, unclogged, not clogged. Really, to clean this out, you blow in it, you put it in water, you suck in it. I've sucked this like a straw, and water is forced in at speed, and it goes out the end, and my mouth is suddenly now full of 60-year-old ink and water and all sorts of junk. But that is a way to try to clean as much of it out. You're going to get in your mouth full of, now you could hook it up to some sort of pump. You could go to the maternity section of Target and find a breast pump and adapt the nozzle or whatever. Find a Electrolux vacuum cleaner nozzle that you can put on this thing to suck in the water, but I still don't think you're going to be able to get it completely clean. Well, I hung a show the last couple of days with one of my neighbors, art show, which opens on Thursday. And I still have some work to do, but I was able to do a few tweaks today. There was one painting that was on a very large stretcher and it was warped. So you hung it on the wall and there was a corner that stuck out about this far. And I ended up screwing a piece of metal to the back that had two holes. One screw went into the canvas stretcher and the other one went into the wall. So here's the wall. Here's the canvas. I screwed this piece of metal into the back here, and then there's a hole here, and I screwed this into the wall. So I very slowly pushed it in, and it's only sheetrock holding this thing out, but hopefully it'll last the month that the show is up without me having to redo it. If this doesn't last, my next thought would be to span it with another piece of metal with two holes, and so I'd have two screws sort of holding this back. I don't want to add more trauma to the canvas, to the stretcher, which the stretcher's already warped, anyway, so it's not like I was doing any damage really to the object, but I don't want to. I think this would be the next step. Now you could also put a butterfly thing in I could do that if this doesn't work and that doesn't work, I could do that, but by that time the show will be down and I'll be done with it. Well, this pen is making me smile enough for me to continue to play with it. This one, 51, I sort of like its nib better, but I think it needs a new diaphragm. I'm not going to deal with that. Am I? Am I going to deal with that or not? Come on. See, it's not even pressing down. Nope. I'm not going to deal with that. This has to be repaired. And, oh, I remember. This is actually kind of a rare, well, no, maybe not. I thought it was a rare cap. Actually, I think it is kind of a rare cap. This is the one I was using. Where's Where's my friend Friedrich to help me out, whether that's a rare cap or not. It's been so long since I've been doing my whatever these are, broadcasts, that I've lost many of my usual suspects, which I certainly can understand. Can't expect people to love me forever, you know. Yep, this needs a new sack. So I'm not gonna deal with that. I'll let someone else put a sack in that one. Let's see, does this need a new sack? This one I think can function without a new sack. Oh, and this is a sterling cap. I really like sterling caps. Why am I letting that one go, I wonder? I'll try this one. Okay, does this one work? Gray, dove gray. I think this might work. This on it. '51s take a good long time when they haven't been used in a while. Take a good long time to get their juices flowing because of their comb feed thing. So I'll just write with this for a while. So I've got a dove gray barrel with a chrome colored clip, which I don't think, it's been so long since I paid attention to these pens. I think the 51s had gold clips most of the time at this era, the Vacuumatic era. This is where Friedrich is needed for my So this is a rare clip. It's a chrome colored clip. So that's a keeper. See, it's a good thing I looked at this drawer of pens I was going to sell you to find that I have a rare clip. So I have that on a dove gray barrel, silver colored clutch ring. This nib is very nice. I tend to like them when there's a little bit more difference between this side, right side up, and this side, upside down. I like this difference to be greater than it is here. normally. I like my Johnny One Note pen to have 2 notes. See this, you know, if this pen wrote like this way, thicker, and then flip it over and it wrote thin like it's doing here, those are the kind of 51s I like. The gray one was a little too much the same. But I'll learn to like it. Hello, Ms. Darling. I was singing your praises. No, I was saying I had a pen that you would hate. That's this one. Because you wouldn't be able ever to clean it. Because the 61 has this sponge kind of contraption in here that when you fill it, it sort of will never get unfilled. I mean, there'll always be some residue of ink. Well, it's not a converter. I mean, but it does hold it captive. This would be a pen that you'd have to consign to. This will only write black, basic black. You know, if you kept filling it with one color over and over and over and kept using that one color, maybe in 20 years time of writing and refilling it and writing and refilling it, you'd finally get to a pure color. But for the most part, you don't have time for that, nor do you have the mental, you're not wired to have something have ink in it when it's not being used. I started off this video by sitting down at my desk and I didn't have my stool underneath me. So my ass started moving toward the floor at 32 feet per second squared. So by the time my ass hit the ground, 32 feet per second squared. So the second would be 90. What's 30? How does per second squareds go? 32 feet in the first second. The second it would be twice that, I think. So 64 feet a second. And then 128 feet a second. I think that's how it goes. So let's just say it was traveling toward the brick floor that I'm on at 64 feet a second. And I bet you know what I said at the end of that. And then I turned my camera on, and then I started broadcasting, and then I dealt with all of the debris that ended up falling on the floor because of my trauma, flailing about. I think it was the F word. I think it was the F me GD moment. Okay, so this clip is riding up a little bit more than it should. So what do you do to fix that, Ms. Darling? You take a little thing like this, and you just lift up and press down at the same time, and it didn't work in this case, so we'll try it again using a pliers. Another way maybe to do it would be to unscrew it and bend it at that point. Yeah, I know you like that pen. I like it too. I think in your case, Ms. Darling, I know that you do like pens that are pretty, and I do know that you like I think you'd be spending more money than you need to on the modeled aspect of it, and you're welcome to do that. I mean, I shouldn't say no to anyone that wants to buy a pen from me, but I may sell it to you. I might do it. We'll see. The nib in it is not one that you'd love. It's a nib that's it's right here. It's a nib that is prickly fine and not all that flexible. But somehow it really suits this pen a lot, I think. You know, that's as I'd be shocketh at it. Well, I know what stiff nibs are like. I don't need, you don't have to send me a stiff nib, but you know, this pen, the fine is like Boinga Boinga fine, but the thin is like a third of what Boinga Boinga can do. So this is a nib that you might like it. I'm not going to say you wouldn't like it. So I'll put that over here, and it will be in the maybe to you pile then. Well, there's some, well, yes. All nibs don't have to be Boinga Boinga. Boinga Boinga, but a nib that has a Boinga Boinga quality doesn't have to be Boinga Boinga all the time either. But that nib and this nib will never be Boinga Boinga. They'll be Boinga. They'll be Boinga until it breaks, and then it'll stop being anything. But it can go, this nib can go from there to there, but it's going to break on the way to doing that. Okay. Yeah, pens that are too soft are really hard to control, and I like some grit to them. pen is lovely when the cap is on it, but you take the cap off and then you see the crusty bit that's deteriorating at the end here, which I'm making worse, but so it looks nice this way. Yeah, doing those little bloopy things is really kind of fun. Let's see if I can find a pen that can do that. Where you do this sort of thing where you make it look like embroidery. Love. I can do them at the beginning of the downstroke. It's hard for me to do them halfway through. I mean, you can do it maybe if you're doing. No, my brain doesn't want to do it. My brain refuses to learn that trick. Yes, my brain could learn, but I don't have time. I wonder if this is a nib you'd like. This is a Waterman Emblem Pen or a 100-year pen or something. And it really looks like it'll take a beating. It's in a commando pen that's chipped all over the place and missing its back, but it does have a nice nib. Yeah, this pen I think would make a writer happy, not a calligrapher. I think it requires too much effort to make the thick line, and then when you get to the bottom of your letter, it's hard for you to go back to the zero. But this would be a good one for a sketcher, I think, or just a regular writer who has a heavy hand and isn't trying to be calligraphic. I am tired of hearing your baby keep me up all night long with its relentless howling. Can't you send her to the coal mines yet? Is she not old enough? They want little tiny ones to get into the little tiny veins of the coal. I think you should. See, this would be perfect for that letter. You sent me an Instagram message. Okay, well, let me take a look at what you sent me. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's what you mean by the getting the thick stroke thick later. You have it down at the, see, I can't do that. Lower end. It's my 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 hand doesn't want to do that. It can be bloopy at the top. Having it be bloopy at the bottom requires too much. Oh, no. No. It doesn't want to work. Is this a Waterman nib? This is going to be as hard as a rock, this nib. Yep. This one is, it's odd that it looks like it's flexible, but I think it's just my digging into the paper that's making it do that. This probably says rigid on it. Yep. Waterman Ideal Rigid. And when Waterman makes a rigid pen, they're not kidding. When would I ever use this pen, do you think? Taking it out of that. This pen looks like, this nib looks like it belongs in a later pen than I have it in. Which is maybe why it's... It's kind of neat though. It almost writes like the accountant nibs that I like. It's almost... Maybe I'll put that in a pen and pretend it's an accountant nib. So I do kind of like those. Can it go in here? Will it fit in here? Yes. If I can take out the crud. This is like Exxon Valdez oil, crude oil goop. Okay, put this in here. Have you heard anything from Friedrich, Ms. Marilyn? I've been away so long and I just don't know who's been talking to whom, but I've sent him and Schiavello a couple of notes, but haven't gotten back. They haven't gotten back to me. So I just was curious whether how they're doing. I imagine I can't imagine they're not okay, but because I think if something was wrong, we would have heard through the grapevine somehow. But I know that the last I had heard was that they were going to settle, Schiavello and his family were going to settle in Chicago area rather than Wyoming, and which I thought was a wise choice. But I also know that they were planning on coming out, but then with COVID and all of the various quarantine of Australia and stuff, that they ended up postponing everything. So, okay, I'm going to put red ink in here because I can. This Waterman red that I'm using is very it's audacious red, it says, and I think that probably comes from their audaciousness in calling this a red ink, because it's really apricot-y. Day after Christmas. Well, I don't know whether I've talked to them since then or not, because that wasn't too long ago. Again, I've been, in Minnesota, so. Well, anyway, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to sit on the couch, wash my hands of this ink. Tomorrow I go to the dentist, and I went to the dentist since I've been back, and I have to get 10 crowns on my little teeth for $790 a whack. So none of them are, there's some that are more urgent than others, but I can't afford to have all of them done right away, but I can get 2 done maybe in the first couple of months, and then get a couple more done later. Well, I have old teeth that have old fillings that have started to become falling apart, and the teeth are sort of too damaged to re-drill and put new things in. So a cap is the way to go. The crown is the way to go. So, and I go to this dental school. The dental insurance that you can get, I think, I don't know if it covers the school, and it seems like when I looked into it, it seems like it's not that helpful. Yes? Yeah? Yeah?
sitting on the toilet and she can't get up. She said she took some wrong double dose of medicine. And she wants me to help her. And I got her walker. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
And I'm afraid to help her stand up because I don't have the strength to hold her. And she's
Okay, hold on one second, just a minute.